Hey everyone, I'm sorry about the delay again. I'm sorry I missed the video last week. My excuse is that I was going to make a Blu-ray collection video just go through all my Blu-rays and tell you what I think about them all. And I've got one slot left for one more Blu-ray. I thought I ordered a Blu-ray, but the payment didn't go through or something like that, so I was waiting for nearly 2 weeks now for this Blu-ray to come so I could make the collection video, because I wanted to make that next. And then I checked and I realised it wasn't even coming. So that's where I've been. I've just been sitting here waiting for the fucking mail to come that wasn't even ordered. But, I'm sorry about that. Putting that behind us, today's video I'm going to be discussing one of, I think, the most interesting topics in relation to Stephen King, and that is his endings. Now, I generally don't believe that he has bad endings. Like, for the most part, his endings, I think, are fantastic. And these 10 are about the only 10 that I would say are bad. So yeah, in general, I think he's pretty damn good at endings. And I'm going to make a video on his best endings, hopefully next week or the week after, or sometime in the near future, just to prove that he is good at endings. But these ones today, I do actually really just want to go through and have a look at the times I can say, yeah, no, he fucked that up big time. And it was actually a bit hard to compile. I had to let myself include novellas in here as well. I didn't include any short stories, but this is all novels and novellas. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Also, one thing I wanted to clarify is I wanted to find good Stephen King books with bad endings, because a bad ending is going to stick out a hell of a lot more if the book is so good and then it just goes towards the end. So yeah, not all of them, but there are a couple of books on here that I think are genuinely great, but have terrible endings. And those are going to be near the top of the list. Like, these are great books with terrible endings. Towards the back end of the list, you'll see the majority of them are books that aren't so great with terrible endings. And that's because it doesn't sour the experience as much. Anyway, I'm rambling, let's get into it. So at number 10, this is actually a bit of a hard one to pick, because this is one of my favourite Stephen King books, and it's got an admittedly bad ending, but kind of an ending that I like. There was a lot of contenders that could have been at the number 10 spot, but I kind of just had to go with Needful Things, which is interesting because it's breaking my rule of saying a lot of these books at the start of the list will be bad books with bad endings, because this is a fucking great book, but the ending of this, like, the last 15 pages, the toy snakes coming to life and biting him, and then the power of the white coming through some flower, and then Leland Gaunt turning into, like, you know, a horse-driven cart and flying off into the night sky. Like, it was ridiculous. I think that this book is great. I think the ending is pretty terrible, but the reason it's so high up on the list is because the more I think about it, the more it works. The more the stupidness of it just kind of... So yeah, number 10, it's a bit of a tough one, because this is a pretty damn good book. Now we're getting into the real part of the list with shitty endings. And like, this book isn't good as a whole, so that's why it comes towards the start of the list. And that is The Talisman, which he co-wrote with Peter Straub. Basically, this book is really, really shitty. I really don't like this one. Stephen King and Peter Straub, just... who knows what the hell happened. Anyway, basically, I remember about being a third of the way through this book and thinking, alright, I think I can tell what's going to happen. He's going to get to the talisman, grab the talisman, and rush home and save his mum. And the rush home is going to be a big suspenseful rush home because she's just about to die, and he gets home just in time to save her. And that's exactly what happens. It's super predictable, it's super anticlimactic, it's underwhelming, it's a 1,000 page book. Like, this book is fucking huge. And the ending is just so bland, and just so predictable, and so unrewarding. At number 8, we have a Richard Buckman book, not the first on this list either, and it comes from the Buckman Books collection, and we're talking about The Long Walk. Now, The Long Walk, it's not a great book. I'm not a big fan of it, and the ending really kind of just set it in my mind as just a pretty bland and forgettable book. Basically, Garrity is the last one standing at the end of the walk. He sees like this black figure up ahead of him, and he starts to run towards it. It's not enough. I don't mind ambiguous endings, but this one is just like, okay, fine. Yeah, it's not a great book, and the ending was just very, very bland, just underwhelming. It's the kind of thing you're reading it, you turn the page to see what happens next, and you realize, oh shit, that's the end of the book. It's a weird one, and it's not one of my favorites. Coming in at the number 7 spot, it is number 7. Okay, we have Stephen King's favorite book that he's ever written, Lisey's story. This book, I don't know, I'm not a fan at all. And the ending with Scott leaving her the story about how he killed his dad because he got possessed by some bad gunky. What kind of a roundoff is that? This whole book is building up to this big thing. This Lisey story, this one final trail of clues that he left after his death, and it led up to that. I don't get this book at all. I think I don't get it. It's a terrible ending to a terrible book. Now at number 6, we have a novella from 4 Past Midnight, and it is The Library Policeman, which is the third one in here. And again, this is a terrible story all the way through. It's really, really stupid. And basically, at the end of this story, we learn that our main character, as like a 9-year-old kid, was ass-raped by a guy with a lisp dressed as a policeman, like it's some kind of weird fucking Pulp Fiction like universe. And then they go to the library and they have a shootout with the monster, but the monster attaches itself to his woman's friend's head, and he cuts it off the back of her head and then puts it on a train line, and the train runs over it. If you didn't understand what I just said, don't worry, because I don't understand either. It's bad. It is bad. It is messy, and it is awful. At the number 5 spot, we have From a Buick 8. This is kind of like in a similar vein to The Long Walk, except I found it a little bit more annoying because, well, it's a longer book, and this book needed more. The Long Walk, like, it was underwhelming, yeah, but like, it's like, whatever. This book just kind of fizzled out into nothing. The way, like, the last third of this book, it just fizzles out, and it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's just such a weird one. Like, it gets really, really messy with the changing perspectives and time periods. Like, it's like ends up being like every 5 pages it just jumps back and forwards between different characters. And then at the end we learn that the Buick, for some reason, got a crack in its windshield and didn't repair itself. And that's all the ending is. Like, it's a really strange book. It's a really weird ending. It feels like he just got up, was like, oh fuck it, let's just send this off now. Not a fan of this book, and I'm not a fan of the ending at all. Number 4, we have another Buckman book, and this is one that I don't think people talk about in relation to its ending, because this is where the endings go from being just there to what did I just read? And we're talking about The Regulators. This book is just a mess all around. It's just bonkers, it's ridiculous, it's not very good. But the ending, you realise that this little boy has been possessed by Tack, and he's creating the world around him to be like an old Western movie set, mixed with some other TV show that he watched. And there's people in the vans, they're coming past, they're shooting people. There's like a lion hedge monster that's chasing people around through the backyard. It's really, really bizarre. And then it's revealed that the one weakness of Tack is shit. I mean literal shit. So what they do, they force feed this kid laxatives so that he gets diarrhea, and that like exercises Tack out of him, and then they shoot Tack, and you know, the world goes back to normal. Tack's one weakness is shit. I cannot believe that. It is unbelievable, this ending. That is how this book decides to conclude. Force feed an 8-year-old autistic boy laxatives so he shits his pants so hard a demon comes out of him. I can't tell if this is genius or just the stupidest thing ever. Like, what? What? No. No. Anyway, the next one on my list is another Buckman book. And of course I don't have a standalone copy of this because it's Rage. It's in the Buckman books again. And this book was really, really bad. And so is the ending. The ending finds Charlie revered as a hero. He's getting messages in his mental institution by people asking him, hoping he's alright and stuff like that. He faces no real punishment for the people he killed. He managed to survive a gunshot because he had a padlock in his chest pocket, and for some reason that saved him from being shot. The whole like ending of this book is just ridiculous. So yeah, let's go chronological order. He gets shot at. He gets protected by his padlock in his chest pocket, which is just ridiculous. And then he convinces the class to beat up this one other kid. And the class is like, you know, all empathizing with Charlie. It feels like a teenager's wet dream. It doesn't feel like, I can't even suspend my disbelief for this. And then he doesn't get punished. He just gets put into a mental institution and, yeah, receives a bunch of well wishes and letters and stuff like that from his classmates that he held hostage. Yeah, this book is a shocker. And the ending just, yeah, certified its place. Now, these last two books are two books that I think are legitimately fantastic books. This is what I was talking about when I meant Stephen King books that are good with terrible endings. And we're kicking it off with The Dark Half. Now, this is a book that, when I first read it, I didn't enjoy at all, really. But then, on the reread, I came to appreciate it for what it was. But the ending still really, really bugged me. And it still does bug me to this day. So basically, throughout this book, you have like these weird subtext of sparrows and psychopomps in Greek mythology. It's all very, very tacked on, very shoehorned in, doesn't serve any purpose to the plot at all, except for the ending when Stephen King uses that shoehorned supernatural element to write his characters out of a wall. He wrote this Beaumont family into a wall, and the only way to get them out was to have a bunch of sparrows come in out of nowhere and eat up George Stark. It's really, really not good. I don't understand, like, was that really the only way you could have resolved this? It feels to me like he wrote the book without the psychopomp stuff, got to the end and was like, oh shit, I don't know how to end this, so he went and rewrote it with the whole sparrows are flying shit again, so that when push comes to shove, the main characters can live happily ever after. But I just don't like the fact that he relies on this one shoehorned element to resolve a really good book. Like, really terrible ending to a really good book. I don't get why he had to do it. And now, the number one pick for the worst Stephen King ending, you all know what it is. Under the Dome. This book is huge. And it is so goddamn good. It is so fucking good. But then, the ending just completely loses it. When it is revealed that the dome is a prank by aliens. And not just any aliens, teenage aliens. teenage aliens that appeared pressured by its other teenage alien friends to put a impenetrable dome over this little town. A direct quote from this book that I will never ever forget is, "We are their interstellar Xbox." Interstellar Xbox. Oh my god, this ending is bad. This ending is bad. Oh my god. And the fact that the people, for some reason, know how to communicate with these aliens, and they can, like, you know, they're like, "Listen, you do this, and we're gonna get you into trouble if you don't lift the dome." And then they're like, "But my friends made me do it." And they're like, "You don't have to succumb to peer pressure. You can lift the dome. You don't have to do everything they tell you to do." And the teenage alien's like, "Yeah, good point. Okay, I'll lift the dome." No. 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 I want this ending to be rewritten. And I can tell you how to rewrite it better. Throughout the whole book, it's foreshadowed that the dome will raise on Halloween. Have it come to Halloween and have the dome raise mysteriously and have the answer be ambiguous. And end it with the characters just discussing what they think might have happened and all the different theories and concepts. I do like the idea that we are essentially so small in the grand scheme of things. That's a cool concept. But did you really have to put it up to teenage aliens pulling a prank on humans while being peer pressured by their other teenage... Fuck, no! And I'm not going to blame Stephen King entirely for this, because Cell came out a few years earlier, and that has, in my opinion, a fantastic ending. But it's ambiguous, and people don't like it when they don't get answers to everything. Like, Jesus. They don't get answers to, you know, the cell phone call and shit. They crack the shits. So Stephen King, I think, felt obliged to have to put an explanation in for this, into this book, which I don't understand. Like, because he didn't want to receive the same backlash he did in the ending as he did for Cell. This book is just so good, but the ending is just a shocker. And it's the quintessential definition of bad King ending. Like, I could not believe this. Anyway, that's my list on my top 10 least favourite Stephen King endings. Let me know what your least favourite endings are in the comments. And let me know if you disagree with any of these too, because I'd really like to know. Anyway, I'll see you later. Bye.